Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1970 and today's date is September 15th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Central Bank Deep State Major Attempt to Bring Down the World Economy. Now, any way you look at it, the 45th president of the U.S. has made a massive impact on the world stage in 3 years he's been in office. Here at home, there have been a few firsts. His ongoing battle to drain the swamp is still being fought. That's a first. And Noble Gold put together their first. Their best-selling Trump 2020 Freedom Solid Silver Coin and United We Stand 10-ounce solid silver bullion bar together in one package at a special discounted price. Go to TrumpCoin2020.com and use the code X22Report25 and you'll save $25 on this incredible package. So click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, I just wanted to mention I placed a new interview on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, and this is with Harley Schlanger, and he talks about the central bank's dark, sinister plan. They just exposed themselves, they laid it out, and Harley Schlanger explains the entire plan and what they're trying to do here. So go to X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel or go to X22Report.com, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the interview there, and you can play it right on the site. Now, it seems that we're coming down to the point where the central bankers, the deep state, the establishment, they know that time is ticking down. They realize that the patriots are in full control. The people are behind the patriots. And they're starting to realize their entire agenda, their plan to have a one world currency, to control all nations, it is falling apart. And this is why you see them doing whatever they possibly can to stop what is coming. And they will resort to dirty tactics. They will resort to fear-mongering. They will resort to anything they could use to stop what is coming. Now, Boris Johnson knows this. Trump knows this. Other leaders around the world know this. And they're prepared for this. Remember, out in the UK, they have to stop Boris Johnson at all costs. They cannot allow a no-deal Brexit. They can't allow him to do this. This is why they went ahead and they placed new laws which they created out of thin air just to stop Boris Johnson. They had to. Because what else do they have? They lost the person that was in place, Theresa May. They didn't get the person they needed to have the whole thing controlled. What they have is someone that they can't control, and that is Boris Johnson. This is out of News Breaking Live. Breaking. Boris Johnson set to defy law designed to stop him from forcing the UK out of the EU with no deal. Yes, Boris Johnson, he has a card in his back pocket that he's going to use. What they set up is not going to work. They can't stop him. Trump and the patriots know this, and Boris Johnson knows this. Here in the United States, the mainstream media, the central bank, they're trying everything possible to change the narrative. They want a recession. They want to crash the economy. They don't care if it hurts the people. They don't care if they crash the entire world, as long as they can get Trump out of his position. Remember, their plan was to have war and to have the economy completely implode on itself. Do you really think they're sitting there saying, wow, should we do this? Should we have the world economy crash just to get Trump out of there? They never cared. Remember, the central bankers, these players, they don't have an allegiance to a country or to a people. Their allegiance is to themselves. It's control. And that's what they've been fighting for all this time. Think about their strategy. Think what they wanted to do. They pushed recession in the mainstream media. Why? Because they lost control of what was happening with the Federal Reserve. Their plan was to raise rates, have the economy crash. Trump and the patriots turned this around. So they pushed recession to make people afraid, to stop, where they would stop spending, because the mainstream media continually repeats this, and every single news outlet continually repeats this to convince everyone that, yes, a recession's coming. Then they created a poll to say, yes, people do believe there's a recession coming. And they continued this. They want to change the narrative. They want to change what is coming. They want to make sure that Trump is responsible for all this. And this is their next step. They just put out a story. And it says, on the economy, more Americans see president in charge than the Fed. Now, what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, yeah, more people in America, and they took a poll, people see that Trump is in control of the economy and not the Federal Reserve. In the meantime, Trump is out there saying, listen, I have no control over this. If the Fed doesn't do what I want, the economy is going to fail. Remember, the Fed, they're the ones who have continually said the United States and the world needs the central bankers because they're the ones who are in charge of the economy. So this way, if they're in charge, we won't have crashes, we won't have depression, we won't have recession, we won't have any of this. They create the currency. They control the interest rates, which they're really not supposed to do. And Trump, this entire time, has been pointing the finger at the Fed. But this is coming out of the Chicago Tribune, and they're trying to turn this whole thing around. And they're trying to show that, yeah, most of the people think that it's Trump, not the Fed. Is this going to work? Absolutely not. Remember, the Fed came out and they said, listen, we're not predicting any type of recession happening anytime soon. We're not seeing it. So right there and then, the Fed, they just put themselves out there. Trump can turn around and just use that against them. But the deep state, the central bankers, they already knew that this wasn't working. How do we know this? Think about this for a second. To destroy the economic system, is it enough just to put that we're heading towards a recession, to repeat it multiple times? Do you think the people are smart enough to realize that, yeah, I don't believe it? Because this entire time, all we've been hearing is how great the stock market is. Unemployment continually goes lower and lower. There's job openings. GDP numbers are going higher, and you're trying to tell us there's a recession? Something doesn't make sense. Because over the many, many years, you've been telling us these are the things that we should be looking at. The deep state, central bankers, mainstream media, they knew that this wasn't going to work. And to destroy this central bank economy, which is based on oil, how do you destroy it? Well, you go to the source. You go to the source and you hit what? You hit the processing plants. Where? In Saudi Arabia. Remember going back to the 70s, prior to the 70s. How was this system created? They made deals in the Middle East because they were going to take us off the gold standard, which they did in 71, and they placed us on the petrodollar system, which means all countries must pay for the oil using the Federal Reserve note. If you hit the oil processing center, the oil fields, if you damage them, what happens to the oil-based economic system? It fails. It collapses. Not just here in the United States, but around the world. What did we just hear? We heard that there were drones that were flown into Saudi Arabia and it hit their oil processing plants. The central bank, the deep state players, they've just taken it to the next level. They knew everything that they planned on wasn't going to work. It isn't working. So what did they do? They decided, you know something? It doesn't matter because we know what's coming. It's either we stop this now, we destroy the economy, or we're screwed. This is just the beginning, people. This is not a game. And you can see this is exactly what they're doing. And we're going to discuss a lot more of this in the second report. But as you can see, the deep state, the central banks, they're desperate. Think about what Dudley said. This was a former Federal Reserve official who said we should crash the economy to take out Trump. Think about that for a second. Remember, the central bank does not want to lose control. The central bank, they control every single nation through debt. They will fight to the very end to keep that control. They know what's coming. They know that the patriots, their plan is to remove the private Western Central Bank. And now the fight begins, as you can see. Listen, everyone. We're going to go through a period of time here where they're going to try everything possible to stop the patriots. Remember, Q has told us that attacks will intensify. That is what we are seeing now. But I do believe the patriots, they're prepared for this. They already knew that this was going to happen. Trump, the patriots, they're still working to bring us into a new economic system. And remember, when we move from an old economic system that is weighted down by debt, weighted down by manipulation, weighted down by an illusion, it's going to be a little bumpy moving into a new system. Just like when we came off the gold standard, where we had a little bit of debt, we were backed by somewhat gold, and we moved off of it, we went through a little bumpy period. This is going to be the same thing, but we're doing it in reverse. And we're coming from a damaged system into a sound money system. We just need to get there. And again, just like with Boris Johnson, just like with everything the central bank and the deep state players do, they do everything possible to try to stop this. And that is what we're watching right now. But once again, the patriots, they already knew this was coming. We were already warned. Countermeasures are in place. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.